I'm Frank Seravalli, and you're watching Nasty Knuckles.
You're listening to Nasty Knuckles, the Hockey Outlaws podcast, with your hosts, Derek Nasty Settlemyre and former Philadelphia Flyer enforcer Riley Cote, as they go behind the scenes with your favorite NHL players. Time to face off.
All right, welcome back. What's happening, Nasty?
What's up, Rigarelli? Are you vibing over there?
I'm vibing.
You and
chilling.
Debo just vibing.
Always.
Fuck. Primal vibe. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
What a night last night.
It was.
Little 5-iron action.
Yeah.
Your game.
How's your back?
My back's fine.
Yeah.
Yours the one hurting, probably carrying me for the 2 holes I tried to play. I was red rotten. I didn't understand it. Finally, Baller figured out you could change your club selection, which didn't really help me in the long run.
Pretty important variable to know what club we're using. For
probably
distance.
is, even though I was using the one I thought I should use on a golf course.
Is that what was shanking right?
No, that was just me shanking right. But great time, though. Appreciate everybody coming out that came to see us at 5-Iron Garage Beer, man. Awesome. Appreciate them setting that up. Saw some buddies. And, some
Indigo Dispensary.
Yeah, Indigo.
Showing up,
Yeah,
supporting.
appreciate that. Yeah, big support from them. They must have closed the store because it looked like the whole
crew was there.
Everybody was there. Yeah, it was great seeing everyone, man. It was a lot of fun. So appreciate everyone that came out.
Yeah.
Had some fun. Watched Riles swing the club.
It's pretty rough looking.
Actually, it wasn't too bad.
Wasn't bad?
It wasn't bad. I'll tell you what, though, Debo, whew. He might hit pretty good. Yeah, there you go. Pretty good. No, we had a blast.
Yeah, good spot.
Yeah,
I didn't
great
know what to
spot.
expect. It was my first time there.
I didn't realize that's exactly where it was because we go to the Fillmore a lot for concerts, and I don't know how I didn't see it before.
It's tucked away, Nast.
It's tucked away, but it's an awesome place. Awesome place.
Super neat.
Stadium Series.
Yeah, still recovering,
Woo,
still
you're,
thawing.
You're thawing out a little
Yeah.
bit. I understand. We had a great time. Can't thank Joe enough. Fans of Philly. Man, like 9 or 10 bus loads. It was awesome. We were bus A.
Bus A.
-1.
-1. Things got out of control, Nast.
Things got a little out of control. Baller could barely put a sentence together by the time we were finished. I'm just kidding. He wasn't that bad, but that leap onto the table or lack thereof, I think
slipped.
Baller, you might want to throw that
Yeah,
up real quick.
slow that down and go to the footage here because I think he.
I don't know. If there's a way, maybe we could like make it look
sure
like
AI
Baller.
can make
like Baller could do it. He's
add some
good.
vertical
He's
in
good
there.
with that stuff. But no, great tailgate. Can't thank all of our friends and people we met. There's so many coming from all over the place. Actually, you know,
that was a big,
skating up to
solid
us,
crew.
you know,
Yeah,
but what a turnout! It was a lot of fun. It was cold as well. Got to thank Howie for doing a shot of Fireball with me. It was a little bit bigger shot than I thought, and I had forgot that I had done it.
Oh, man, warmed you up.
Well, it probably did, but we had a blast, man. It was so much fun until the game started. The game wasn't what we were hoping for. Flyers didn't really have a great showing, but so much fun again. Thank Joe from Fans of Philly and everyone that came, and it was awesome. It was an awesome time.
Yeah, hell of a job. And I was saying earlier how crazy it got there. I was like, it took me a second there to remember where I was at. You know, it was like it was like a college football game of some sort. So people jumping off the top ropes, just smashing their backs and shoulders. How about that one guy that try to jump on the table with no crease in the middle and just dented the side of it.
Was he the one that took his shirt off or something?
Well, yeah, and then that real thin, scrawny guy tried to finish the job. And
tried to finish the job.
Just the thing.
We might have that on video somewhere.
Oh my god!
There was a great. Someone sent me a video of Baller after he jumped, and it looks great because he's laying there and the table's broken in half, but you didn't see the actual jump.
Right.
So it was. I give him A for effort, though.
Yes.
His feet slipped, to be honest. I thought he had a better vertical leap than Debo, but after that, I'm not sure. I think Debo might dunk on him. But it was fun.
It was.
It was a blast. We had a great time. It was It was cold,
Oh my god.
but I guess you expect it to be. You're a little
Yeah,
toasty.
I thought I was prepared, but I clearly wasn't.
Yeah,
I forget what the elements are like, man. I've been
man.
soft since I've been living in the U.S.
Well,
and moved out of
you
the
know
peg.
what Todd said to you.
Yeah, he buried me 6 feet deep there.
He gave it to you. Also, real quick, Philadelphia Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
They were there. That was awesome to see those guys. A lot of them were there. So a lot of friends we ran into. It was a lot of fun.
It was.
Can't wait
Till next one.
and in less than a month.
You
Going
prepared?
to Boston, baby. Yeah, I'm prepared.
Pretty excited. It's indoors.
Yeah, me too. March 15th through the 17th. Going to sandwich our birthdays in there.
Why
A
not?
birthday celebration with fans of Philly
Yeah,
and the Bruins and
makes
Flyers.
a lot of sense.
It does to me. Drink some green beer, just a little taste. You have to. It's St. Patty's Day. I know you don't drink anymore,
Some
but
green herb. That's the difference.
you could drink garage beer lime.
Yeah.
That's green.
That's a good point. Green cans.
Green cans.
Yeah.
So that's the beer to drink. Fast forward here a little bit to the next day of the Stadium Series game between the Rangers and the Islanders. Minute and a half in, Matt Martin says to Matthew Rempe, "Hey, first game, want a Tilly?" Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I
that-
wouldn't have thought that's the way it went.
Yeah, I saw the interview after, and he said, "Hey, kid, you want to go for your first shift?" And he said, "Heck yeah!"
He's like, "Hell yeah,
I guess
let's
when
do
you're
it."
6'7", 240,
Can't say
you got to
no.
reach. But I was going to ask you about that fight. I know you saw it a few times. Like you were in that situation. Now Matt Martin's a huge guy, but 6'7", 240, obviously that reach. What do you do? How do you go about that?
Yeah.
No, but seriously, a guy with a reach like that, you dealt with that a lot, man.
I mean, yeah, you said Martin is bigger than I am. You know, he's like 6'4",
Yeah.
he's lanky, but he still probably has to have some bit of the same strategy as getting in tighter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get a guy like that strings you out. It's not a good position,
No.
not a position you want to be in. But I thought it was a spirited bout, and
Yeah.
and like again, kind of to what you were talking about earlier, Martin asking Rempe to fight in his first NHL game in his first shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool because I would have thought it would have been the other way around.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
you're lining
sure.
up like, let's go, and Martin gives you a Tilly, but I like it. You know, I still think that it's good for the game. You know, and people argue like stage fighting could be eliminated easily, but you still got a guy trying to make a name for himself.
Yep.
Still got an older guy still trying to hang on to his role and his job too. But the fans love it,
Yeah.
and your national telly like that, and you can get the building into it with a scrap
Right away.
I mean,
and like the Islanders haven't been playing great. They've played a little better
Yep.
since Patrick Waugh stepped in as the head coach, but Matt Martin's trying to get his team going, right? Like,
yeah.
let's go. And
Think Patty
I get
liked it?
I think Patty loved it.
Yeah, he's
I think
probably
he likes the
double-fisting
right.
there.
Yeah, I think he likes
How
that
about Lou?
stuff. Well, Lou always had tough guys,
He
man.
did,
I don't
yeah.
think-
Lou's
I
old
don't-
school, man,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
old school. I don't think he would mind it at all. And like I know what you said. It's like kind of a stage thing, but like in that case, it's like, hey, let's get the boys going.
Oh, yeah.
It's it's.
I've
not
been right
like,
there with him.
Yeah, 100%. So I thought that was really cool, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to get your take on it because you are always kind of fighting the bigger guy. Flyboys, their last 7, 5-1-1.
Not bad.
A little bit of downer in that outdoor game that we were at.
Yeah.
Like we said, that just was a weird. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's just.
Well, you
that was a-
scored on 30 seconds in,
Yeah.
and there's just a couple of, I don't know, softer plays.
Yeah.
Breakdowns, I guess you could say. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to have those nights.
Yeah.
You don't want them to be on.
Sucks when it's like that.
Yeah,
though.
big build-ups.
Yeah.
Stadium Series game, but it happens. They regrouped.
Yeah, I mean the Devils. They were big 2 points for them. They were obviously chasing the Flyers in the standings. We'll get into that later with our guests, but it just wasn't their best performance.
No.
And I would never say they weren't trying because that team tries every night, but it just nothing was going right. Tip had a couple.
Yeah.
You could shoot. The
Oh,
puck.
my God.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they bounced back.
they bounced back, come back with a win.
Yeah, it was
last
greasy,
night. Yeah.
right? But it was a win.
Not the prettiest game last night, but beat Chicago in Chicago 3-1. You got to win those games, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Jaromir Jagr.
Wow.
He got his number retired in Pittsburgh. Obviously,
That was pretty cool.
One of the best quotes was when he was giving his speech, and he said he'd like to thank his girlfriend, who doesn't remember when he played for the Penguins, but Don't worry, I told her all the stories. Place was going nuts.
Yeah.
She's too young, and you can tell his mom is
great.
asking her because everyone's laughing and his girlfriend's laughing, and she's like, looks like she's saying like, "What's he saying?" And she kind of explains. She's like, "Oh, Mom's probably like, there's been a lot of you,
Yeah.
a lot of you younger women that have dated my son." Auston Matthews,
He's not bad.
51 G's. You predicted 45, eh, Baller?
45. I think he was at 45.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess last week.
In
but-
54 games, bro. 51 and 54 games.
Not bad. Shoots like you.
Well, yeah, I wish. With a Tovey, maybe. Imagine if he had a Tovey stick.
Get 100
He'd probably have 100 by now.
by now. Right? Extra whip, extra release.
Well,
he needs it.
yeah. Coming off that. And the goalies wouldn't hear it. Is that what it makes? Is that the sound it makes? I don't think that's it, Riggs.
No, you don't think so?
No, I don't think that's Riggs. Well, the Flyers had won 4 straight when it's Toronto, and Matthews decided to play for 10 minutes, scored 3 quick ones. You know? Not a big deal. But yeah, man, 51 and 54 games is crazy. Did Baller say 70? Who said 70?
77.
70. That's what he's on pace.
I said 69. He's on pace for 74, I believe.
Oh, 74.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy, man. Dude, didn't he have a Hattie the next night, the next game? Jeez, he could score. He could score.
You think?
I think. One of your old opponents and a buddy of ours, Donald Brashear, still tilling it up. I know Baller put up a post yesterday.
Can you believe
52 years old, man.
Well, thanks.
I thought the guy who was fighting was in trouble there for a second, but he ended up doing well.
Yeah, he
I think
did.
he caught Brash for one, but Brash, you know how strong he is. I don't care if he's 52 or not. He's
Yeah,
still
he's still strong,
And
yeah.
when he pulled him in,
I thought he was getting sucked into the vortex.
Yeah, the vortex. You've been there.
Oh, I've been in the vortex. It's
not fun.
I had a little PTSD there watching it.
Yeah.
Definitely had a flashback. I was like, oh man, this guy's in some serious trouble. But he got the right loose and
He
started
did.
unleashing, and I definitely got brashed with a couple there. But I mean, can you imagine 52 years old and scrapping in whatever Quebec league that is there?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is this actual scrapping league, or I could have sworn he told me he played in a different senior league there that wasn't that.
Yeah, I didn't talk to him about that when I saw him.
But either way,
Either way, he fought. And it was a
fought.
guy wanting to fight him, which is crazy.
and there was another guy. I don't know if you saw the clip, the early part of that clip. There was another guy coming in to intercept that fight who wanted to fight Brash there too. And then the guy just let it be because obviously the guy's helmet was already off. But
yeah,
I don't know.
wow, crazy.
I mean, it is crazy. I don't know what else to think about it. I mean,
Hopefully he's getting paid.
would you
well
want to do
enough.
that?
I would never want to do that. I'm a lover. You know that. 4-1. I retired.
You
I don't
retired
ever
in
want to fight again.
high school.
Yeah, no, it was after one was after high school, but yeah, I'm retired from tilling
Yeah,
it up.
me too.
I'll let you protect me.
I don't know about that. You're gonna have to find some a
Well, obviously, when I got
little tougher.
ran into the boards, you just sat on the bench. You all right, Nas?
I thought you were
Limping
all
back.
nails and getting off the ice.
Nails. I can maybe nail the stick into my hand so I don't lose it.
I can do that.
Yeah. So, what do we got today?
Got a big guest.
Yes, we do. Coming up on the trade deadline time.
Oh,
so we
yeah.
had to bring in our good friend.
Some inside scoops, Nast.
Yes,
I know
sir.
you're not getting any from me.
We know that.
So we got to go to the insiders.
The insiders.
We're ready to rock here, Nast.
Let's do it.
148.
Yes, 148.
With our good friend Frank Seravalli. Here we go, Nast.
Let's go.
This episode is brought to you by Garage Beer. Check out their beer-flavored beer. Welcome back. I'm Riley Cote.
And I'm Derek Settlemyre. And this week, we're super excited to have a good friend. And it's coming up on his real busy time of the year. Trade deadline coming up March 8th. Our good friend, host of Daily Face-Off Live every day, Mr. Frank Seravalli. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, boys?
Doing
to
well,
see ya.
man.
Yeah, good to be in the flesh.
Yeah,
Last
welcome
time we
back.
did this on Zoom and you guys radioed me.
Oh, sorry about that. We're not going to bring that up, though. Here.
That's all right. I mean, John Gibson's still playing, so it's on me.
Nah,
it.
it is what it is, man. You hear
It happens.
things, you know? Like, I go with anything you say. You're one of the best there is, so
Yeah, not all the scoops can pan out, right?
yeah, not all of them.
Can't be 100%. I was a tad aggressive in my wording, but I don't think it's any secret that, not to go there again, but John Gibson has wanted out of Anaheim for a while. So no real shocker or secret there.
Yeah,
they just
sure.
It's kind of go back to Roberto Luongo. My contract sucks. Well, like you're making a boatload of money,
That's it.
but it's also keeping you locked in where you are. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess he didn't make the list this year.
Nah, he's not on the trade targets board this year. I just figured, you know what? I'm better off just not saying anything about John Gibson, and we can just whenever that happens,
sleep.
I'll just
Yeah.
Say I
for
told
sure.
you.
I let you guys know, but that's all right.
That's right.
Never said a time.
No.
No.
Never at a time. That's right.
Well, I think I did
4
say
years.
may have played his last game in Anaheim. Yeah.
You said may have.
Yeah.
did say definitely.
It's all. I've learned in this business, some of the best stuff you can do is to couch and to make sure that you leave yourself an out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
wise.
I just didn't expect the old nasty knuckles to blow me up. That's all.
I don't know what happened there.
I don't either. Baller.
I mean, it was also in the dead nuts middle of summer when nothing else is going on for me to get absolutely crushed.
Dead nuts. Middle. It's not right.
It was a dry
No
spell.
wonder we
right?
didn't hear from Frank for a while.
Yeah.
No shit.
Had to think twice about coming here today.
Repair the damage.
We had to send a limo for Frank today. That's the only way he was coming. Oh, man. Hey, quickly, forgot to ask you earlier. We've been sitting here shooting the shit. Did you go to the outdoor game?
I did not.
You did
It
not.
looked good,
Okay.
though.
Yeah, it was cool setup. Really cold.
Yeah.
Someone's toes are frozen.
Oh my god, I'm still
This guy-
still thawing out. Yeah.
They couldn't get you guys a suite? The old nasty
No,
knuckle
we were-
suite?
Oh, it
We
was
were in
all right.
section 300 there.
Yeah, it was
Like-
300.
Oh, you were up top? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but you could see it.
Oh,
I feel
yeah, it was
like
cool.
they
They're
were
actually
low.
that's the secret about outdoor games. The higher up you are,
Yeah.
the better off you are.
Yeah,
I liked it, yeah,
agree. I
besides
like
the
the
wind.
You could see every with the wind.
I went to the one in Edmonton earlier this year. Took my guy.
Oof.
That was in October though,
Oh,
and it
okay.
was 10 degrees warmer than it was last weekend.
Oh, okay.
And it was like almost perfect hockey weather. Sun was still up just a little bit, and we were sitting like blue line in the upper deck. And it was
Nice.
perfect.
So you
First
could see.
row in the upper deck.
Oh,
blue
yeah.
line.
Oh,
It
that's
was
real
like-
nice.
It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. We were only third row. We were right there.
Yeah.
It was a great view. I thought they did a great job with it.
I thought so, too.
For both games, honestly. But I wasn't at the second game. But
10 degrees warmer would have been nice though.
it would have been.
Yeah. Where do you come out on the idea? I've seen a lot of people the last few days talking about making it every year. Let's do some Rangers, Devils, Flyers, Islanders, put all 4 of those teams together every year, do it outside, make a
Big
weekend
Four?
of
Why
it.
the hell not?
Yeah. I mean,
What
the
big
place
marketing.
was sold out both days.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to be making money, right?
Well, I think that's just the hard part is they've jacked the price up for tickets for these games
Right.
that first off, you're also taking away home games from other teams. I think it's a long shot, but I like the idea because of the geography.
Yeah.
Right.
There's not really another place in the U.S., even in Canada, that you could do it where you get 4 teams like that
true.
right in a short, maybe if you went like Buffalo, Toronto, Detroit, and Ottawa or something, maybe. But even then, it's not really the same. Like the fact that Flyers fans could drive home after the game.
Yeah, no doubt.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe some shouldn't have.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a
I'm
whole
sure.
different
We
story.
didn't put Baller in front of a wheel there that night. No, but you're right. That's a pretty cool idea, actually.
Yeah, I guess if they can make money, they would probably do it, right? But I guess if they have to keep jacking up ticket prices.
Yeah. It's
you're losing
expensive,
a
those
home.
outdoor
Yeah.
games, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and then the Flyers, I don't think lost an outdoor game, but I think they had a commitment to sell a certain number of tickets.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, speaking
idea.
of the Flyers, what do we got in trade rumors or anything you've heard?
right now, and I don't know how quickly you guys drop your pods, so it's always subject to change.
Yeah.
Since we just talked about couching. But I'm told pretty quiet right now. The Flyers continue to it's 2:30 in the afternoon on the 22nd of February that the Flyers continue to talk. They try and I think they've had some preliminary discussions with Nick Seeler and Sean Walker on extensions and what that might look like. I think they've set a high price for Scott Laughton that if they get it, they'll pull the trigger, and if not, they're really happy to keep him. And I think outside of that, if you're looking long-term view and plan of how this team should come together at the deadline, part of what they're thinking is we've way exceeded expectations, and in any normal year where we'd be trying to unload guys no matter what, we're in a position that we could keep them if we don't get exactly what we're looking for. Like, why damage our own chances, culture, team, what we've built if we're not going to be able to get something significant?
Yeah, they're in a position of power. What's that asking price for Lotz? Is it a first round?
First round pick, yep.
Yeah.
And I think
Straight up,
probably just plus something else.
Plus
I don't know
body.
what it is, but
Yeah.
So they are looking for first round. We kind of talked about that last week. I thought maybe because seems like a high commodity, like a lot of teams.
I think here's the tough part about Scott Laughton is I think everyone agrees that he's a really nice piece and nice player, and he does a lot of different things. For a lot of teams that are playoff teams, he brings a different element. The fact that he's an elite penalty killer, that part I think really stands out. But I think what people are looking at is this is a somewhat thin trade market. So you've got Jake Gensel, who's north of a point per game. You've got potentially some other guys that are out there, Jordan Eberle. Pick other guys who are higher scoring forwards, and you say, okay, we love what Scott Laughton is, but if we only have one first round pick to trade, is it going to be for someone that may or may not impact your chances to win this year? And I know that he has term left on his contract, but from the teams that I've talked to, that's part of their thought process. Like, we'd love to have him, but because it is a high ask, we only have so limited assets to go around. If he's changing our Stanley Cup win chances by 1% or 2%, is that enough to justify the cost?
Right.
And I think a lot of teams are saying right now, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then we're hearing Buffalo's maybe at the top of the list there too, which is not
I think they've had a couple non-playoff teams poke around. I think Buffalo is one. I don't have it confirmed, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ottawa would be another. I know they've got a bunch of centers that they like, but I'm sure Claude Giroux is in their ear saying, like, hey, this is the type of guy that we'd like to add. And I keep listening to their GM, Steve Stais, who says repeatedly, 200-foot player. I want 200 feet players, and that is Scott Laughton.
That's it.
That is, for sure. Now, Frank, if
it seems like he doesn't want to leave, by the way.
Yeah.
I know.
And that's a really tough part, is like, he's been here a long time.
Yeah.
And wants to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played more games in a Flyers uniform than Eric Lindros, and pick some other names that have been
it's pretty wild.
around a long time. He's been here a while.
crazy. I didn't know that.
And he's kind of come into his own and developed into such a leader, and just established such a niche for himself.
Yeah, and it's like Frank said, like that year down, and we talked about
I was actually
before,
going to ask you about that. Yeah,
how
how much
changed his career?
I know, having been around the team for a while at that point, he had played 100 and some NHL games, including a full season the year before. What was the thought process to send him back to Lehigh Valley?
It was to get as many minutes, quality minutes, as he could down there. Play every situation, just play, get confidence, and come back up and hopefully find his role and find his game. And I'll say, like, he came down with an amazing attitude. I mean, he was a leader. He came down, played every situation, owned it, and obviously went back up and found his way since then. But I think it was probably, to what you were saying earlier, it was the best thing that ever happened to him was coming down. But he couldn't have developed the way he has without the proper attitude. He just owned his situation. But
not a lot of guys would do that.
No, it's tough because he had a first round. I mean, obviously a first round, and you played 2 years, almost 2 years right before that.
So it's first round pick, but it's also, when he was leaving junior, he had a 40-goal season and 87 points.
Right.
And when you then get the first round pick tag, I think you feel like you need to come in and be someone that produces at a high level offensively in the NHL, where the truth is a lot of those guys that come in that can't do it, their career ends in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years because they can't adapt to playing a different role than what they thought they would be or what they thought expectations were. And that, it seems like that year changed everything for him.
It did.
It gave him 10 years. He went down for one, and it gave him 10 more.
Yeah, 100%. And even though he was playing power play situations, really the grunt of it was like just owning the defensive zone, face-offs, just being really finding that workhorse mentality. He was already a workhorse, but just just really being accepting of the small details in that role. And then he landed up scoring and obviously just playing in larger roles on the team. But I think it was like that 200-foot game that he really took pride in, and he still, to this day, still owns, right? I mean, that's the crux of his game. So
your videos when you get him and scare him.
Yeah.
He's such an easy target.
I got him a bunch of times, but last year he was here on deadline day and baller.
Oh, that was a guy. I saw that. The only problem is you quoted the wrong insider.
Yeah, we did. That's why he didn't take it serious.
That's why he didn't take it serious. If he knew it was Frank, he would have
started texting his wife, and
he would have. That's a great call.
Yeah.
Frank, I shouldn't say I know the answer to this, but if the Flyers do not move someone, would they look to get something if it doesn't cost them too much? Or?
If it doesn't cost much, potentially, I think they could. I think there's a few players out there that aren't going to be expensive. I think of someone like a Joel Edmondson, and not saying the Flyers need that, but I'm going through my list in my head of players that are available, that are pending free agents, don't have huge cap hits, even though the Flyers have cap space for what feels like the first time in forever. Mm-hmm. That they're going to be somewhere between a 3rd and 5th round pick. Think of a few years ago when the Flyers were unloading Justin Braun to New York for whatever it was. Those types of deals,
right.
You could see something small like that develop where the Flyers then, Danny Briere and Keith Jones are hey, I want to reward these guys for how hard they've worked this year and the position that they put themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was watching you a couple days ago. You were talking about the playoffs and the teams that are in place. You have a feeling that's the way it's going to finish.
Yeah, I hold out some hope, I guess you'd call it, or you have to allow for the possibility that New Jersey gets their act together. Right. But if I were to bet right now, I'd say the 8 teams that are in playoff spots right now are the 8 teams you see drop the puck in mid-April.
Wow. Well,
and it's crazy to think that the Flyers are in that spot.
Yeah. I know. I was going to ask you that. If at the beginning of the season, I know we thought they would be better getting Coots back, but we also didn't know if Coots was going to be able to play as much.
Would he hold
has.
up as well as he has? How would his game be after missing so much time? But it's not just him. Atkinson had a huge, sort of bounce back, and then, but you also took off a bunch of guys. You took off Provorov, you took off Hayes, and it was really, I think it's in a crappy way, but the fact that John Tortorella has been out as recently as last week saying, "Hey, we had to remove guys from our team for culture."
Yeah,
I mean, you can tell who they're pointing at based on who isn't back, but and I don't think all of that's fair. But what I would say is clearly something is different.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, the energy is certainly different, and you add some more Flyer-esque type of guys. Hathaway, I think fits the culture, and I think
I love him.
Yeah,
he's such a good ad. And Seeler, Seeler is I think that's the guy you re-sign.
Yeah,
and you throw him a bone. He's on a 2-way contract this year.
It's unbelievable.
Throw him a bone. There's a guy that almost quit hockey 3 years ago.
Yep,
and is now not just playing the best hockey of his career, but playing impactful minutes for this team. That. I call him the human nail gun.
He is
tough.
100%.
Yeah,
he is,
and he represents Flyers' culture, obviously, to a T.
And a great guy to boot.
Yeah, everyone really likes having him around.
Yeah, and then you got a couple young guys. I think Sanheim, obviously. Some of these guys have just stepped their games up, and maybe just taking time to buy into the system or find
not a young guy
themselves.
anymore.
Not a young guy. I know.
He's an old guy now.
He is an old guy now.
He was a 1st-round pick 11 years ago.
Is it that long ago?
Jeez,
hey, hard to believe.
Yeah, I went to because the Flyers picked him, and he was playing for Calgary.
Wasn't it here? Wasn't that the draft that was in Philly?
No.
14.
Was it? Well, anyway, they picked him from Calgary. He played for the Hitmen.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we were out there the next year on a road trip, and I went to a couple of his games and saw him play, and I was like, oh, man, this kid could be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing major minutes there, and he's been great.
Yeah, I mean, I had a chance to coach him for at least maybe 3 years down in Lehigh. And
Another really good kid.
Yeah, a really good kid. And you talk about just like the process and how sometimes it takes a little longer for guys to physically mature. And then what comes along with that is like the mental maturity, right? Just like knowing your limitations, because guys, again, to what you're talking about with Lots, you play so many minutes in juniors, you're carrying the puck all the time. You're always in these situations to produce, and then all of a sudden you're no longer in these situations anymore. And it's tough, mentally. But I think like this year specifically, I think like Sanheim, just like he's like a horse, man. And he has been. But, some
Playing
of these
a lot of
guys are just
minutes.
like kind of like, I don't know, found themselves, I guess you could say, kind of come into their own fully maybe. And
they've done it without Carter Hart now.
Yeah, I know.
Sam
Yeah.
Urson has been a good find. And
Yep, I agree.
I also just think unquestionably John Tortorella is a good coach.
Yeah.
Now I hold the belief that I still think he's the wrong coach for this team and where they are. And by that, I mean, I think he's going to make them better than they should be. That's the true mark of a good coach, right? Someone that gets 100 and he squeezes out every drop that you possibly can. And that's why they're going to finish 15 points higher than they should.
Yeah.
Just on pure talent alone. Like, you size the Flyers up against all these other teams, even New Jersey, who's going to maybe miss. Their playoff chances are under 50% now. I know they've had injuries, but still.
Yeah.
Jack Hughes, Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, like, the Flyers don't have anything close to that top-end talent.
Right.
Do you think he's peaking a little, say, getting them to peak a little early, basically, like squeezing every ounce out of them, and then his shelf life lands up expiring?
Well, it's not
early?
so much the shelf life, because I also think part of that's overblown. Like, why can't he coach this team for 10 years if he wanted to? Like, I think he could. But my point is, now the Flyers draft pick that they have is going to be in the 20s, where it should be in the,
Okay, I get what you're saying.
5-6 range. And you're just dealing with
just overachieving.
Basically, all you're doing is extending the timeline that
Yeah.
it's going to take you to compete. And when I mean compete, I don't mean make the playoffs.
Right.
Because the way I view it, and perhaps it's too simplistic in my approach, but there's only one question for an NHL team to answer at the beginning of a season or even at the midway point, and it's, are you a threat to win the Stanley Cup?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I don't, like, even with the Flyers getting in, I don't think anyone, you guys are loyalists, you watch the team on a nightly basis. Would you answer yes?
To go the distance?
Are they a threat to win the Stanley Cup?
No, I don't think so.
So in the meantime, are you just, what are you doing? I call it like, to be, whatever. You're essentially playing with yourself.
Yeah.
You're telling yourself that you're basically delaying the process to really get down to the bottom of it, which is really trying to acquire as many young, impactful Matvei Michkov type pieces.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess it's challenging to what you're getting to there is that, like, you're trying to build an identity and a culture, right?
And in the meantime, it feels really good.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So you're building this engine.
Right.
You're getting the fans back. The buzz is back.
And that part I think is important, by the way.
Yeah,
This market, and we talked
You
about
have
this
to have that.
last time I was in, this market, it actually has really bothered me as a proud Philadelphian that had spent a lot of time around this team, that they lost their way in this market, and that fans they don't care and weren't showing up.
Yeah.
Right.
That
was
part
a
has
tough
been
time.
really important.
Yeah.
So I get that's part of the reason why I think they're also a little bit conflicted at this deadline, which is like, we don't want to send the wrong message.
Exactly.
But I thought there was an important inflection point this week, specifically on social media, where someone reported, hey, if the Flyers don't get what they're looking for Sean Walker, that they're going to keep him. And the fans, they were like, whoa, wait a second here. Like, what are we really doing here? Like, you got to trade Sean Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the spot where you're the GM. That's why you make that money, I guess, because you got to make those decisions.
Yeah.
You're right. I agree with you.
You're probably going to do whatever you're going to do anyway with 20 games left.
Right.
How much, going back to the percentage chance I was talking about with Scott Laughton, if the Flyers have a 13% chance to win round one, I'm just hypothetically making up a number out of thin air, does having Sean Walker decrease that by how many?
Right.
If any.
Yeah.
Maybe just take what you can get. And
Yeah.
And I think that's probably ultimately what they will do.
Yeah.
But you can understand why the conversation is interesting and nuanced and has a lot of layers to it.
Yeah, right. Well, because a guy like Walker, too, I think has surprised a lot of people, right? I don't think a lot of fans knew what they were getting, and then he's kind of, I don't
He was
say
a cap dump from L.A. Who was a healthy scratch in the playoffs last year. And I'm not saying he can't be, an impactful piece, but my point is you also have to remember what he was.
Right.
You have to remember that he's in his mid-20s. Mm-hmm. He's a pending free agent, and he's someone that is looking for, at least according to some reports, $5 million a year times however many years, and then you go, okay, maybe we got this guy for basically free.
Yeah.
We should cash in while we can.
Yeah.
Instead of being locked up with someone who he's a really good skater, so I don't think his wheels are going to fall off, but how good is he really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. You're talking about the Devils a minute ago. Markstrom. Are they going at it hard to try to get, because Calgary you have I think 3 guys in your top 10 on your list from them.
And everything's revolving around Calgary this year.
Yeah. And
their year has been really disappointing, by their own standards too, because they were thinking they were going to be bounce back and be a playoff team this year. I think it's a long shot for the Devils and Flames to work it out, to rekindle it. I think they had gotten really far down the track. Obviously, they really, like Markstrom, and I think they crave stability in net. Like the fact that they're 30th to 32nd place in save percentage, for a few years in a row now, it's a really tough spot to be in when your roster's that talented. So it's obvious they want to do something. Markstrom makes sense as a target, and the fact that he has 2 years left on his deal. But I think part of the reason the deal fell apart was there was a disagreement on how much the Flames would be retaining in salary.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of, I think they had gotten pretty far down the path, and then it blew up. So not to say it can't, because there's still a couple weeks left. And my other point would be, where else is New Jersey going to get a goalie that they really like?
Yeah.
But it's also been 2 weeks since that happened. So
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe Gibby?
Too soon. Too soon.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
You hear anything on Jake Gensel?
Yeah.
And maybe Riley Smith as well, because I know he only had 1 year, right?
He has 1 year left.
Yeah. Okay. 1 year left.
So with Gensel, I think the Pens are out of it. They're 9 points back. I know they have some games in hand, but I think they're, second straight season having Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, and now Erik Karlsson, and you miss, and all those guys were healthy.
Yeah.
Probably some significant changes are in order. And Gensel, they don't have a first-round pick this year. They traded it for Karlsson. They need to reboot. They need assets.
Yeah.
And Gensel is an elite piece that you could trade to really jumpstart that. And so they're seriously considering it. He's out until after the deadline. I don't think his injury is going to diminish his trade value. I think teams that have seen him, they're like, okay, we can get from mid-March till the first time or what? They're going to get from mid-March all the way till mid-April, and then they're going to get an entire playoff run. So they know what Jake Gensel is, right? They're not going to have to, think about it. So I think that part, I would say there's a really good chance, 70+% chance that Gensel's on the move. And with Riley Smith, he just hasn't fit.
Right.
And they didn't really give up much to get him, only a third-round pick. Now they have the opportunity to retain salary. Vegas had Mark Stone go down. He's going to be out for, quote, a while is what their team is saying. And that leaves them some $9.5 million to play with. And also a team that was already looking for wingers. Just bring Riley Smith back. He works.
Right.
That I mean, it's not rocket science on my part to put those pieces together to connect the dots, but that one seems to make a lot of sense to me.
What about a guy like Malkin? Do you see a guy like that being moved? I mean, it's
the term on his deal, right?
Yeah, it's just tough
and
to
he's
move
just
that.
not. He's a big guy that just isn't moving as well as he was, and that's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all those guys, I think, are in big. Like, what do you do with Carlson now?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, yeah, you just gotta
can't
sit on
trade
it.
that.
No, you
He's
can't.
got $10 million for 3 more years.
Yeah.
San Jose was just. They were lucky to get off of him and move that deal, and now Pittsburgh took a big swing, and it's going to set them back a bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Riley was asking her before you got here, do you think San Jose's they're sellers?
If you can come up with the plan for San Jose, you let me know. Tell me what they're up to, because I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, neither do we.
That's why
We're like
They were trading for players last summer. Like, they brought in Duclair, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you trying to get worse, or are you trying to get
that's
better?
it,
Like,
right?
what, like, you have their so the last 5 years, San Jose, their average finish. Do you want to guess what it is?
Take a guess now.
27th.
Wow.
Wow, hey.
5 years.
5 years.
And they still have Couture, Hurdle. Like, they still have Vlasic.
Yeah.
They've got all these big contracts that they've retained on 2 of them, and they're locked up for another couple years. Burns and now Carlson.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
They only have 1 slot left. So who are you going to retain on to move them out? If it's Couture, then Hurdle's stuck.
Yeah.
And if it's the other way around, Couture is stuck, and then no one's taking Vlasic.
Wow. Yeah.
They're
jam.
already
Major.
awful.
Yeah, I
they're
know,
bad.
right?
They're bad. Wow.
No
tough one to get out
prospects
of.
really outside of Shakir Mukhamadullin, who's been pretty good, but they're in a tough spot. I talked to a couple of players on that team this year that were like, doesn't even feel like we play in the NHL.
Really?
That's
gonna be tough.
They're getting
tough.
8,000-8,000 in that arena, and it's they're in. Then forever, that was a great place to go to a game.
Always packed, right on top of you there too.
Yeah.
It's such an old building, Wow.
It's a shame.
Yeah, that's a tough one to
That
be
team
part of.
for 25 years was like among the very best in the league.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Deliberate implosion.
Yeah. You hearing anything? Well, we're gonna ask you about Jarmo in Columbus for one. About did you think that was the time?
Long overdue.
Yeah, it not being mean, but yeah, long
You dodged your
overdue.
full bullets there.
I can't believe how long he stayed employed. Like, if you are an up and coming executive, that might be the best job in the league.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Not only do you step in with unbelievable prospects, Fantilli, Juracek, Matejchuk, Ken Johnson, go through the Cole Sillinger, go through the whole list. Like, and they've got, I like Daniil Tarasov and net, like, great young pieces. And then you get an owner who's like, you want a job for 11 years?
Yeah, right?
You only need
how
to
does
win
that
one
happen?
round. You can get 11 years. You can.
Yeah.
So everyone always asks, they say, like, what's every GM in the league trying to accomplish? And you'd probably answer, like, to win a Stanley Cup, right? And it's like, no. They're trying to keep their job.
Yeah.
And there's only very few that actually go for it. And it's amazing that he was able to work for that long. Could draft like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Great scout. Can't develop. And then every time you turn around, it was like, but we're Columbus. No one likes us. Like, well, no, you got Johnny Gaudreau to sign there.
Yeah.
You got Eric Goodbranson to sign there. Go through they've had plenty of players that have come through there that have been good.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the excuse? Stop it with the excuses. Columbus it's not a terrible place. It's not at the top of everyone's list, but like I can think of way worse.
Yeah, right.
for sure. For sure.
Newark, New Jersey.
So how does a guy like that hang around for 11 years then? Like, I mean, no one kicks around in that position for 11 years. And especially after a move like Babs and, you know what I mean? There's
Well,
a few
that
of
was-
them,
That
it's
was
like,
when he should have.
Yeah,
They should have
that's what
just
I
done it
thought.
right then.
That's
I
what
mean,
I
how
thought
do you
would
survive
happen.
that is the question.
when you were given a clear directive this year, need to make the playoffs, and your coach doesn't make it to training camp,
Yeah.
that's a tough look. It's a tough start. It just is.
Tough start, boys. not the start we were looking for.
Didn't make it to camp.
You had a dinner.
You had guys over in your backyard and looked through their phone, and I was like,
A little
oh.
pregame barbecue.
That's it. Just ask Kami. We got Kami's thoughts on that, right?
Oh my
Our
god,
buddy.
jeez.
Oh man. Provy, any rumors of him getting traded or?
He's on my list because teams have called, but my guess, and this is me just putting the pieces together, is that they're going to leave a big decision like that to whoever the next GM is.
Gotcha.
Because they did give up a considerable amount to get him, a first and a second, and he's been okay. He hasn't been great, but their team is in a spot where they're going to need as much talent as they can. I think they're going to need some guys to really help bring along Jiricek and Matejchuk that, you've got Werenski there. A couple of those other guys, Bean, Boqvist, and Peak, like at least one of them is trending towards a buyout. Like they're going to need some vets there to help bring the next, crop along.
Up, yeah.
And he's still got he's got 2 years left at 4.75 with the money that the Kings retained. That I think Provorov could be a really attractive piece next year. Like I don't think his value between this year to next year is going to be that much different.
Right.
Let the new guy decide, right?
Yeah.
Don't be
Yeah,
the
makes
interim
sense.
guy that's like unloading all the pieces.
Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
a good point.
Our buddy Tony DeAngelo, you hear anything from Carolina?
Poor Tony D, man. He has been in one this year.
Yeah.
He stepped back into the lineup this week with Chatfield being out, and he's gotten a raw deal, I think, there. Like, I think he's been, with what he's gone through, the 2 buyouts, I think he's in a spot where it's made it tough for teams to go after him. And, he goes back to Carolina where he had so much success. Rod Brind'Amour convinces him, they really roll out the red carpet after that trade fell through with the Flyers and like, come here and sign here. And then they don't play him.
Right.
At one point, he was a scratch for 27 out of 32. As of today,
That's crazy.
he's only played 4 games in 2024, but he has 100 points the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
90-some points. Like, this is a really talented player that I think needs a long runway in another city to help get a change of scenery and get him going again. Because I think he's unquestionably a really good, talented NHL defenseman. And you were talking about earlier about defensemen being, or not defensemen, but cheap trade pieces. He's free.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
The Canes are basically just like put together something that takes him off of our hands.
Yeah.
And that's not materializing, but you mean to tell me that, I don't know, pick a team with a bad power play, Winnipeg or someone, you can't use Tony D on your blue line?
Right.
The Leafs power play.
Well, I heard the Leafs are
the
kicking
Leafs
tires.
power play got better with Morgan Riley out.
Yeah.
They haven't lost, have they?
They went 5-0,
22-1.
and their power play went to 44% without Riley there.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
Why can't, for free, you can't use another body like Tony D?
Right.
But apparently the Leafs are a no-go.
Yeah.
Really?
A funny stat on that one, I think Baller was saying before, they're 22-1 with Riley out of the lineup.
22-1 is correct.
Think about that. Like, how is that?
How's that possible?
Yeah, how is that even possible?
When does it become just a weird stat, and when is it a thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it can't be a
that's-
coincidence, right? I mean, there's
They're
obviously
almost
something
playing 900 hockey, and with him, I think they're in the low 6s.
there. Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around. But going back to Tony D, there, like everyone knows he's highly offensive, and everyone knows that his I guess you could say his low points are his defensive zone and his lack of ability to play solid defense. So when another team is talking about a guy like Tony D, is defense that bad, or is it more the fluff around maybe his attitude and how he is as a teammate? That's more the deterrent.
Honestly, I think part of it is PR and spin.
Right.
What does social media say? What do people think?
Yeah.
And I haven't had a teammate yet say anything bad about him.
Right.
New York, anywhere he's been, I think with the Flyers he was fine.
Yeah.
With Carolina, like I've never, and in fact, all the reports I've gotten from coaches that have had him, managers that have had him, it's all been really positive. So I think part of it is just public perception, which is a really unfortunate that that's something that is impacting team decision making, and part of it is just like teams are like, I'd just rather, if I could get an equal player for the team, I'd rather not have the headache.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do think if we're being honest, he would admit to you that there have been various, missteps along the way where he's been probably his own worst enemy.
Well, he said that.
Yeah.
He
it's not that
definitely is.
It's haunting him a little bit still.
Yeah,
obviously.
I think part of it is reputation.
Yeah.
And then part of it is just he's a competitor and he wants to win and he really wants to play.
Yeah, he does.
So when things don't go his way, maybe
Wires
he would
get crossed a little bit.
handle things differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because to your point, like you like to think that Winnipeg or some of these teams would welcome a guy with that type of
right.
offensive
Especially if they're struggling.
skill. Yeah, exactly.
Like Frank said.
But again,
Dallas, pick a team that their power play is just okay, and
Right.
just use him as a specialist if you don't like his defense.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I think there's plenty of room in the league for him, and I don't know why Carolina's taken such a hard stance with picking Chatfield over him. But
Do you think they're hanging on to him, Frank, for insurance?
I think that's part of it too, is that they've basically said, hey, like, we understand it's not working out for you here, but this Chatfield injury right now is a great example. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, and we are a team that has authentic Stanley Cup hopes that rather than go out and then have to trade for someone like you,
Right.
it's easier to just keep you.
Just keep you.
Yeah.
As long
Which
as you
is
keep him
not
happy and
it's not good for him.
No,
it's not
it's
good for
not.
him. No.
Because part of the next thing that happens is when you don't play for most of the year, then you're not getting a contract.
Well, that's
And
it.
Teams are like, hey, you can come in on a PTO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants that.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Not a guy that has 100 points the last 2 seasons.
That's right. Yeah.
I think you had on. Did you not have Jacob Chychrun on your list?
He's on there.
Why is he on there again? What's
The
going
Sens
on?
have too many left shot defensemen.
Okay.
They've got Sanderson and they've got Shabbat, and both those guys are making $16+ million the next 6 years.
Okay.
So Chychrun is going to need a contract this summer.
Oh.
He's fine for now, but really the key for the Sens is having to determine who's going to be here for the long haul. And when you're paying, I don't know what Chychrun's next deal is going to, it's probably in the 7s, something like that, maybe even closer to 8. Are we going to really spend $24 million just on the left side of our D?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
So they have value. They have surplus value there that they can seize upon. I don't think it's a guarantee that he's moved before the deadline, but I do think there's a really strong chance that he goes at the draft.
It's a draft. Tarasenko in Ottawa.
I think they like him.
Do they?
That's my understanding. I don't know what happened. He just changed agents again. This is his second one in 7 months. He went with
yeah.
Brady Tkachuk's uncle, and I don't know if he's trying to get out of there, if he's trying to re-sign there, but he's in the last year of his deal. He's got the full no trade. His son has been playing youth hockey in Ottawa. I think they've liked that part of it, and I think honestly the Sens have liked having him around. I was told, and I don't know if it's, I only hear from one person or whatever, but I don't know if it's accurate, but that the Sens really liked the voice that he had provided and Claude Giroux.
Yeah.
So they liked having him around and felt like he had contributed.
Well, that's cool. That's interesting because I was just thinking because he's free agent, but maybe they do sign him. I don't know. I don't know how much.
He's also not going to be super expensive to acquire, I don't think. Like
Right.
he'd be a decent trade deadline ad for someone.
Right. Right.
We touched on Toronto a little bit there when we talking about Riley. Do you see them doing anything?
I think they're in a really tough spot.
Yeah.
I think on the one hand, they feel like they need to add because they've got Matthews having a 70+ goal season. They've got such an expensive crop of forwards that it's really chewing up their cap, and they're also in the prime and heart of their careers.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, they're like at least 2, maybe 3 defensemen short, and their bottom 6 hasn't done anything all year, and they have questions in net. So you've got 3 hugely problematic areas. You don't have a first-round pick for a while. or you do, but then you've traded a bunch away essentially. How do you fill all those holes at once?
Yeah.
You probably can't. So then do you take a step back and you say, okay, maybe this just isn't our year?
Yeah.
Is that an acceptable stance to take when you have Matthews having the year that he is?
In Toronto.
Not in Toronto, I mean,
I know, right?
That's a really
hell
tough
break loose, yeah.
tough scenario to walk into if you're
Yeah.
a GM. You have a couple good prospects that you don't want to trade. You've got very limited picks. You have no second round pick this year. Like, you can't go add Tanev because you don't have a second.
Right.
I think they're in a really difficult spot, but I think watching them go 5-0 without Morgan Riley, that maybe that makes you say, hey, like, we got something here. Maybe we have a little, more juice than we thought we would.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How about Tampa? Do you see them doing anything?
So they're working hard on the defense market.
Yeah.
The belief is that Noah Hannafin had signaled to Calgary that if he had a choice, that's the place he would like to sign. And so the problem with Tampa is they don't have a first-round pick until 2026.
Oh, wow.
If you're Calgary, you go, okay, we're embarking on what's like a 2 to 3 year rebuild here. 2026, when are we expecting that guy to help us in 2029?
Yeah, right,
True.
exactly.
That's a hard place to be in unless you think Tampa's going to stink in 2026 and you're like, oh, maybe we could get a really good pick. That's like you're playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers.
Yeah, right.
That's a hard calculation to make, but short of that, I don't know how Tampa pulls it off. They don't have prospects to send. Like, they don't. Who are you taking off your roster that's going to make your team better?
Yeah.
I think Tampa, Boston, there's a few teams that really want to be in the mix that just don't have the goods to do it. And I would include Toronto in there too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough situation for these teams. You obviously want to add, but you don't really have a whole lot to work with. And I guess that's always the challenge going to the trade deadline, right?
Yeah.
It's like doing simple math.
I think you can't be in everything every year.
It's it.
Right.
You have to pick your spots. You have to choose wisely. I really admire Carolina. People call Carolina cheap. They say their owner's stingy. I'm like, no, I think he's got it. In my opinion, I think he's got it right. You want to be as competitive as you can for 10 years. You want 10 shots at winning the Stanley Cup.
Right.
Every time you trade away a first round pick, you're taking a year off.
Totally.
And it eventually, Pittsburgh has had an unbelievable run. If you were talking to Flyers fans and you said, would you take 15 years of dominance and 3 Stanley Cups to be really bad for the next 10 years after? Like last place in the league, would you do it? Would you take the 3 cups?
If I was there, I'd
100%. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying if you're a Flyers fan now, would you
100%.
would you say
Yeah.
I mean, how do you not?
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I would take them.
Of course.
That's
I mean,
been 50
I was
years.
going to say they haven't won since 75, of course.
100%. You're right. It's 3 too. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a no-brainer, I think.
Yeah.
But now they're going to be the worst team in the league for 10 years.
I think that long, hey?
I mean, maybe unless the Sharks get in there.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, right.
But honestly, they have
about
nothing
that.
to speak of.
Yeah, I know.
And some people are saying, well, just sign Jake Gensel. And I'm like, what? For 6 years of that deal to be the best player on the worst team?
Yeah.
for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, it might take a few generations to they're drafting their Crosby and Malkin. Build your
Yeah,
franchise
that's gonna
around.
take-
Well, and you got to get
Or
some
will that ever
insane
happen?
luck.
Yeah, well, that's
I
it
mean,
for sure.
Not just with that weird lottery that they had that year because it was the lockout year with Crosby, but also just think about in 3 drafts, I think either 3 drafts in a row or 3 drafts in 4, they went Fleury, Malkin, Crosby.
Wow.
Yeah,
Or Fleury, Crosby, Malkin. Some order like it's
Yeah.
crazy. Who does that?
Yeah.
That's like a Dallas Stars type draft. They got Ottinger, Robertson, and Heiskanen in one draft in 3 rounds.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
pretty
It's unheard of.
impressive.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty
that'll
impressive.
set you up for
Yeah, exactly.
10 years,
right.
Yeah, you just need
15
one.
years.
100%.
And that's why I like Dallas to win the Cup.
There you
I was
go.
going to ask you your pick.
That's who I picked at the start of the year, so I'm going to stick with
Stick
it.
with it.
I think their game is heavy. I think it translates really well to the playoffs, and I think they're going to be one of those teams that improves just a little bit at the deadline.
So you think they'll be trying to pick something up?
Yeah, I think they were really deep in on Chris Tanev.
Yeah.
And that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Blocks a lot of shots. He's second
Yeah.
in the league. The Stars are 22nd in the league in block shots. Add a different wrinkle.
Yeah,
A little
right.
bit of
For
toughness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Any sleepers? Any teams laying in the weeds, potentially coming out the woodworks?
I'd have to think the Kings get better because I do think there's a lot of talent there. But, man, they've had some weird games this year, losing to the Sabres 7-0.
Yeah.
They're a hard team to figure out. I had them in terms of, like, being one of those elite teams in the West. I don't right now. I don't think they can make any noise, but I do think Minnesota gets the 8th seed in the West.
They've been hot lately.
Yeah, I think there's something there. Like, their coaching change has been, their record's really good, and I think they were just dealing with so many injuries at one time that they had a lot to figure out. And sleepers in the East. I mean, I just think the East is wide open.
Yeah.
I like, to me right now, Florida's the team to beat in the East, but I think the Rangers are also getting a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Shesterkin's back.
Yeah.
He's been really good since he took that week off to work with Benoit Allaire.
Yeah.
And I think if he's at like Shesterkin normal levels and then Quick stays as good as he's been,
Yeah.
Chris Drury's usually pretty aggressive. You've got a center to go out and get. So I think they were one of the teams that's been in on Scott Laughton.
Yeah.
But they could just as easily get Henrique or get someone else. You get a center, and then with the Blake Wheeler injury, you've got an opening on your right side. I mean, they could go out and get anyone to help
right.
on that wing. Like,
Yeah.
they could be a really dangerous team. I love their defense.
Yeah.
Fox, Trouba, I love Braden Schneider. Like, they've got really good I think they've got the best right side D in the NHL.
Yeah.
Well,
So I like, and Lavi's
yeah.
he's a playoff guy.
I was gonna say his first two years anywhere are always pretty
Yeah.
good, and he's done a great job there. I love-
2010 was special, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
was
was.
awesome. I was just gonna say the other day I got a chuckle out of him. He finally won an outdoor game, which I'm sure
Did you see
know
that?
How
Somebody was-
pumped up he
he
was.
was
Yeah.
just so jacked, man.
Somebody chirped him before the game. Did you see that?
No.
In the press
Did you
conference.
tell me that? Someone told me that last night. I think
They said the Rangers are 4-0 and you're 0-3-1,
Yeah.
and he said thanks. So he noticed.
Yeah, right?
No, he's
Oh,
pumped.
that's
But now the
great.
Rangers are 5-0.
Yeah, 5-0. He finally got one. That was good. Oh man. Yeah, well, I was gonna ask. That was the last thing I was gonna ask your cup pick, but you like Dallas Stars, which makes sense, for sure.
I just think the West is such a meat grinder this year. Like, there's 6, I think, really, really good teams.
Yeah.
Van, Vegas, Edmonton on one side, Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg on the other. At least 2 of those teams are losing in the first round, and that is gonna suck.
Yeah.
That sucks. Do you have you heard anything on Phil the Thrill? Is he gonna end up signing with Van?
I would have said yes, but the fact that it's dragged on a week
Yeah.
is surprising me a little bit. They said they wanted it to be quick. Like, they were thinking like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they thought that his, skating or whatever wasn't up to snuff, but it makes sense. I mean, he's free first off for you don't have to give up anything to get him.
Yeah.
Right.
And they obviously like him, like the
Talking
Talkett
him,
connection,
yeah.
but also Jim Rutherford, like they believe in him. Like, I have my doubts just because Vegas went 18 games last year where they said you're a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
I mean, when they tell you they don't need you in their lineup, it's probably a pretty good, and they win the cup. It's a pretty good indication that time may have passed you by.
Yeah.
Or we had Johnny Stevens in, and he said he was, I don't want to say surprised, but he was like happy at the fact that he said Phil was great when he wasn't playing. He was really good with the other Black Aces. And
I can see that.
And that.
Everyone likes Phil.
Oh yeah, he's so funny. He's so funny.
Did you have him in the Olympics?
Yeah, I had him. I had a world championship a couple times, and in the Olympics. And he makes me laugh. I'm messing around with him quite a
unique
bit.
guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
You got his brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Blake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Blake.
Yeah. Adirondack.
That's right.
Wasn't quite as good as
We
Phil.
didn't quite skate as well as
No,
Phil.
couldn't skate
No.
like Phil.
Could squat a lot though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So could Phil in flip-flops. He said he broke all the records.
Yeah, I keep
That's
seeing.
the one thing that kind of bothered me about the coverage. Remember there was that bullshit about Phil a few years ago about the hot dog card in Toronto? Like, the guys were saying Phil was always winning the physical testing. Like, he was always the most in-shape guy.
In flip-flops.
And then they're like...
in flip-flops.
They're like, oh, yeah, but look at him, his body fat, his body type. Like, who cares?
Who cares, man?
Yeah, exactly. If you're dominating on the ice and you're dominating in the fitness test, I mean, it's like he's obviously doing something right. He's explosive, and I'm sure a couple of Shane shows is not gonna take away that power explosion. No,
He did it. He's done it for a while. We'll
Yeah.
see if he's got any gas in the tank.
yeah.
What a career, though, the Iron Man.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
Yeah, how do you play
back-to-back
that many
Stanley
games?
Cups. I mean,
Like,
it's an elite career. It's a borderline Hall of Fame career.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Coach Chippy makes me laugh when he does the Phil.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
you watch
Three
Coach
cups,
Chippy?
three
Oh,
cups.
Oh, yeah, he did win. I guess the third one would be Vegas.
He's like, because it has him act like he's talking to Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
And he's like, three cups, Connor.
Oh, my God. I can't believe you're a Coach Chippy guy.
I just see it on my feed.
Oh.
My kid thinks it's hilarious.
We were talking. That's what everyone was saying. Like, no self-respecting adult likes Coach Chippy, but all of the kids love Coach Chippy.
Yeah, well, that's how I see it. I
saw him on the ice for the Creators game at the Stadium Series.
Yeah.
He was out there gliding around in his Coach Chippy jersey.
Oh,
Told
that's
us
great.
He plays men's league with him.
Oh,
He
that
had
was
someone on.
that Brady Leopold.
Yeah, Brady plays men's league with him or something, or skates with him every week.
Muskoka or whatever.
Yeah.
Coach Chippy.
Yeah,
Coach
he's pretty
Chippy.
funny.
Just cranking out the content.
Yeah, he is.
Getting
Yeah,
YouTube subs like you and I can't.
yeah I know.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Any other scoops you want to
Yeah.
mention or
No,
kinda
it's
cover
a thin market, I think. That's the unfortunate part is, like, usually there's a couple really spicy names. Like, the fact that Gensel's not playing, it kind of, like, takes a little juice out of it. But Calgary's right there. They're going to be moving a bunch of guys, and I hope they just save a few for deadline day itself.
Yeah, right.
March 8th, we got our show 4 hours.
4 hours.
11 to 3. So we'll take you through the deadline. Head on over to Daily Face Off.
Beautiful.
Yes, definitely. do
Shameless plug.
that. No,
we want
definitely.
you.
We'll plug that as
Do you
well.
hear anything about Risto or Frost?
Nope. I think the Risto injury was, that didn't help. But also, like, I think part of that was the Flyers wanting to generate some interest on Ristolainen. I think they know it's in their best interest to try and get out from under that contract if they can. And Frost has played a lot better.
Yeah.
He's been really good the last, I'd say 6 weeks-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it was right around that game. It was like parents, the dad's trip.
Yeah.
And then I think he played in Toronto. It was a day game, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been really good since then. And I think they need more guys like him.
I love Frost.
Yeah, he's crafty.
He's crafty, but he's the right age. He's the right, like, he's homegrown. Like, there's a lot of facets to him that I think they're better off keeping. And I haven't heard anything. Like, I don't think they're actively trying to move him.
Good.
But if someone calls, I'm sure that's a different story.
Yeah, right.
Well, seems to be coming into his own and finding that confidence and being able to play under Torts. Which
That's
some of those
been a
kind of-
rocky road because I
Yeah.
don't think they've seen eye to eye. And I think he was really frustrated with the healthy scratchings this year and the benching. And, he'd been called out a couple times publicly.
Yeah.
And I think it took something for him to go back at Torts privately.
Right.
That all of a sudden it was like he kind of respected that. And was like, hey, let's see if we can reboot this.
Yeah, he's responded well. Not many guys.
Some coaches
probably
like
do
that.
that. Yeah, 100%.
Some coaches like you to get in their face and give it to you a little
Yeah.
bit. I don't know why that is. Like, why does it need to get to that point?
Yeah,
But
right. That's a good point too.
Yeah, well, they like to just push the buttons and just.
We are all adults here. Like,
Yeah.
just
Well, we've heard a few guys talk about coaches like that. They almost get off on that. Like they
Mike Keenan for
Mike
sure.
Keenan for sure.
Loved
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, I think Torts is one of those guys. You can't wait till you push you hard enough that you come back in the office guns ablazing and
Yeah, we've heard
speak your mind.
A few of those stories last.
Get a pat on the
years.
back. Get you back out there.
That's probably in some ways part of that's healthy too.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
Give and take. That's how teams work.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever really perfect. Some guys are no matter what the situation is, someone's always unhappy. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a little conversation.
Yeah.
Well, even like a little bit off topic, but this Super Bowl with Travis Kelce and that play on the sidelines when he's going at Andy Reid. I mean, people would be like, "Whoa, you can't do that," and it probably crossed the line. You'd be bumping your coach offline like that. But
I think it did.
Probably crossed the line. But, I think like the essence of what he was trying to communicate to his coach was wholesome. It wasn't like, fuck you.
You want to be out there.
You want to be out there.
Be out
And
there.
you hear the conversation after between Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, and there's like an amazing kinship and friendship there, right? And relationship between the two. It wasn't
I think
like
Taylor radioed down and told him to snap.
yeah, go snap, knock Andy Reid off the line. But
Yeah.
but
Part of that is I think Frost was missing any sort of fire in his game.
yeah, right,
Right.
exactly.
That it was almost like he needed it to come out to like get it off his chest a little bit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it seems like he's been different.
Yeah, I agree. And I wasn't comparing
But so it's
Frosty
always
to Travis
I know.
Kelce.
yeah, but what I'm
I
saying
know,
is
I
it's
know.
always the point I was making is it's easier to take a guy like Kelsey who has a fire
Has a
burning
fire
and try
already,
and tone it
tone it
down,
down, yeah, right.
than to try and drag it out of Frost.
Exactly.
And I think that part maybe he needed a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, a lot of those young guys needed that. Seen that at the Phantoms. Like,
Yeah.
the guys got the skill, they got a lot of the ingredients, but they just need that extra jam that
That Frank
sometimes
had at
lays
Penn
dormant.
State?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not everyone has it.
No. Can't teach
right.
it, man. You just got to have it.
You gotta have it.
You got to try to teach it.
I've
That's a
just had
special
a-
ingredient.
A fire for eating. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, Frank, well-
yeah, we can't thank you enough, man.
Yeah,
Taking
my
the
pleasure.
time.
It's
I know
always
it's
good to see you guys.
busy
Yeah, I
time of
appreciate
year
you
for
making
you.
the trek
Yeah,
to the studio. So much better.
Yeah, it's nice having you here.
agreed.
Tell some stories before
Yeah.
we get going.
Yeah.
But everybody tune in March 8th, 11 to 3.
11-3. We'll take you past the deadline.
All right.
Hope to have
All
some
right.
scoops for you and our biggest show yet.
There we
Nice.
go. Be watching for sure.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, bro.
Big thank you to our friend Frank Seravalli.
Yes.
Hopping on.
Insider.
Hopping in studio.
In stew. In the stew. God,
Always great insights.
I can't imagine like the lack of sleep he gets trying to track all this stuff.
My
It's
God.
crazy. It's
Chasing
crazy.
after people too,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
scoops.
But he gets them.
Just like you do.
Yeah,
Yeah, on
get
the
scoops.
inside.
I just can't. I can't give away how I get them.
No, that's right.
No,
But we got to get Frank on a little more often. Get
Yeah.
some
definitely.
insider trading.
Yep,
But appreciate him hopping on,
Yeah,
making the
for
trek
sure.
over here.
for sure.
And it's that time, Nast.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
it's time for
it is that
clear.
time.
It is? You sure?
100%.
Okay, it's time for clear questions, my friend. Brought to you by
right.
Clear Rum. Go to clearrum.com/shop. Type in Nasty 2023 and get 35% off of your order. PA residents only. Get on it. Delish.
Delish. You've been on it.
Oh, I've been on it a lot.
All right, baller.
Starting us off here, we got a buddy of yours, the Angry Flyers fan, Massimo.
Oh, he's angry.
He's asking, what's your favorite Ilya Brizgalov story?
Oh, God. Man. I don't know if it's the tickle. Oh, ticky
yeah.
or the when he would just, I guess probably when he would scream my name from down the hallway. I know we talked about this when he was on the show, and I would end up going down every time. And I said
Nastia?
I wouldn't. Yeah, Nastia. I'd go down and he'd ask me if he looked big today. Do I look big today? Yes, Briz. Okay. And turn around and walk off. I think that was one of my favorite things he would do, even though it was annoying sometimes. It made me laugh after the fact. Like, I keep walking down here to say that to him.
Do you think it was actually reassuring him that he looks big? That is like a confidence booster of some sort?
I don't
Or
know.
is it
I just think
like
he wanted
some
to
fun-
fuck with me.
Yeah.
That's what I really think. Because
Yeah.
because I told you he would sit in my office in the morning and I'm like on the phone trying to get shit done. And he's like, "You're not really talking. You're faking." I'm like, "No, I'm
actually ordering equipment
I'm
here."
actually ordering some more of your gear." No, he was great though. There's so many Briz, but that was probably one of my favorite things he would do.
Yeah,
is ask me if he looked big today.
We got Jack B over on Twitter. When's the Cote Carnival coming back?
Oh,
I remember those days.
Swanky Bubs.
Swanky Bubs.
I think the place is long gone.
That's long gone.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't mean the Cote Carnival's got to be gone.
No, I think we got to recreate it,
Yeah.
rebrand it a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably replace the name Cardinal with something a little cooler.
A little cooler.
Nonetheless, we could definitely do something. But that was good times. We always had some good events, good support by the boys.
It was awesome.
But I think we got to do something again. Fire up a new type of charity.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we talked about it. Someone else brought it up the other day, actually. So appreciate the question. Bring it to the front of the mind.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to do something.
Write it down, Debo.
Write it down. Thank you.
All right, we got one more. This one's from Colin Thompson, who Riley was on his podcast this week.
Oh, Tomer.
Yeah, Tomer.
He's over on Twitter asking, love of the show, guys. The Flyers should look to add and subtract at the deadline, in his opinion. Who's a player you would add that would be a good fit for the short and long term of the team?
That's a really tough question. Because there's not that many guys available that would be, well, I guess there would probably be more rentals, short term.
Right.
I don't even call them fixes. They're kind of just
Yeah.
a little bit of hole patching. I'm not sure you're gonna grab a guy at the deadline for the long term play. I mean, maybe I've seen crazier things happen, but I'm not sure. It's a tough question. I gotta like think that one through a little bit more. I know like Scott Laughton's name keeps getting thrown around out there,
Right.
And it seems
probably
to be
more than any.
Probably more than any. More so for a pick. If there was a body in return, I'm not sure it's in the long term rebuild. It's probably more of a short term thing. But if the question is like, do I think that they should go above and beyond and try and add and subtract? I mean, I would be happy with staying with what they got and just full steam ahead.
We've heard like obviously Nick Seeler's name brought up. I hate to lose a guy like that because everything he brings and his price isn't very high.
That's it.
And he's a guy that shows up every night. He eats pucks for dinner, blocks everything, and is just a solid type player. And Sean Walker, we've heard him as well. So if you do subtract, well, then you are going to have to bring in, unless you're planning on bringing kids from Lehigh. But I think if you get rid of these guys, you're getting something in return.
Yeah.
Maybe it's draft picks. I'm not sure the way Danny and them are going to go about it. And there may be some things that we don't know that we're not expecting. And I would think if you trade Scotty Laughton, which I hate to see, unless he's going to a contender and has a real shot, because like Baller was saying, Buffalo's like number one maybe. I would hate to see him go there. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Tough.
If you're going to trade Laughton, I'd like for him to have a chance to win, right? But if you get rid of a guy like that, I would think someone may come in to fill a hole. You have a player from somewhere.
Yeah. And again, I'm not sure that player is anything more than, say,
a rental.
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it, the longer term vision is like they're positioning for that, right?
Yes.
So it's like if they move lots, not because they want to,
right?
But the return is obviously good enough that if it's a pick, a first round pick. I mean, it seems like that's what the asking price is, at least from what I understand. But I mean. It's a tough question because the Flyers have gotten to where they are just based on creating that identity and sticking to a game plan and trusting the process. I mean, I guess the price has to be extremely right for them to really do anything outside the box,
right?
But who knows? These GMs are creative, and if there's a nice piece somewhere else that's being dangled, who knows?
Yeah. We'll find out soon.
Yeah, it's the truth.
It's a great question, but it's a tough question, but it's a really good one.
But I think that's a wrap.
That's it.
Clear questions in the books.
Yes.
Episode 148 in the books. Dunsky.
What should everybody do?
Should probably go to our YouTube page and subscribe.
Yep.
Go to our Instagram page, like, comment, ask a question or two.
That'd be awesome.
Same thing on Twitter. What do you think?
I think they should do it. Everyone.
Well, let's do it. Until next week for 149, be sure to check us out. And until then, stay safe, knuckleheads.
See ya.